Happy day before Lionsgate. Welcome everyone to Akashic Answers with Emily. I always ding a bell. You'll notice I'm not in my normal zone today. Let's open up the records. The records are now open. Invite everybody to come in. Allow the frequency of the sacred sound here to begin to tune your energy, to set a sacred stage here, sacred classroom. We are going to work a little bit differently today than normal. You'll notice I'm sitting in a different spot. If you see me move around very much here, you're gonna notice the stiffness. I'm going to share with you guys how the universe shows up and plays itself out in my life today. I'm going to just invite some friends to come join us first, and I would love it if you guys would do the same. Of course, as many as we can gather here in this sacred space, this time for receiving and opening, the more powerful and dynamic our work will be. Today, we are going to talk about the 5 steps to life mastery, which, who doesn't have a life here that they want to master? Your life, what is important to you, what is alive in your mind and heart is part of your mission here and part of your self-mastery. So I want to be sure to invite a lot of friends to come join us here. I know that so many of you are like me and you're seeking this. This is a process that does not end. I don't know that we ever get to a place where we're like, all right, I'm actually at life mastery. Life mastery is a continued process. However, to get prepared to walk through that gateway, there are certain things, there's a certain gap that we as human beings can work to fill right now. The more we show up, you come to processes, workshops, classes, shows like this, and you begin to dive in and do the work. I am going to invite you all to take some notes today because I'm going to teach rather than do a live Akashic record reading, and here's why. Girlfriend threw her back out. Many of you know because you are all such loyal followers here, receivers, participants here inside this sacred space that we've created at the Akashic Academy, and you know there are a lot of shifts and changes happening here. For me personally, I'm very, very excited. Miss Nancy's going, oh my. I'm really excited to take the helm, to take the reins here as Coach Nick exits and follows the pursuits, the pathways that are opening in his life. And for me, many of you know I come from a creative background. I've spent 20 years as a Hollywood actress before I showed up here in this essence of spiritual teacher. I have something very, very profound to share. Part of my mission, many of you guys know because you do follow along it. I am an Akashic Record mentor. I train other light workers in the realm of the Akashic Records. And I do that because I believe that this is the key to life mastery. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the Akashic Records, this is the realm of consciousness where all information is programmed. There are a lot of different names for this. Master intelligence is one of them. I have learned to heal, to shift, to command my life in a different way because of my ability to access and learn how to use this realm. So I'm inspired to teach others how to do that. Here's the beautiful thing. Every single human being has the ability and has the divine right to tune in to master level intelligence at every moment of your life for guidance, clarity, direction, healing, whatever is called for in that moment. Should you choose to use it, how does this up-level us as human beings is just what I'm saying. This is what has allowed me to walk countless of students through the process of learning the tools to master our life. Does it mean that we use this tool in every single moment? No. As human beings, we are still transitioning. We're upgrading our abilities to stay present, to stay, this is a good one, response able. I'm going to tie that back in. That comes from my girl, Janelle Cameron. So the reason I'm not doing readings today is because I threw my back out. I don't tend to take a lot of high-powered meds. I don't really have them in my cabinet. I think Aleve is the strongest thing I have in there. Girl took it. I'm just saying, okay? I've taken the leave-in several Tylenol. I've taken leave-in several Tylenol this point. But truly, my body is a vessel. My body is a tool. My body is an antenna. And if I put something in my body that has altered it or has numbed myself in a way to draw my attention away from having specific awareness, because my damn back hurt bad. You want to know how I threw my back out? All right. I will tell you the truth of how I threw my back out. I know Miss Nan says is not surprised. I'm not surprised either. I will tell you the truth of how I threw my back out if 10 of you share this out on your timeline. Hi, Miss Tanya Mosley. It's good to see you. I see Elaine Leonard in the house too. All right? Share it out. Share it out. I'm going to tell you the truth anyway. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll wait for the shares. All right. The reason I do what I do is because infinite intelligence is so powerful. Normally, I show up and I bring you guys my talents in doing live readings and live healing, showing you how the records work. But I'm going to be honest, I have put things in my body that have caused me to have a lesser level of intuitive awareness. And as a responsible leader here in this space, I know the transformation that you are seeking is of high level value to you. This is important to you. And I'm not going to put either one of us in a position where I'm getting dull information when it's coming in. All right? So for that reason, you don't need Tylenol or drugs. Reiki is the answer. Thank you so much, Jerry. I do believe that a lot of us, there's so many different ways to shift our pain, right? But I was pretty immobile until I took some, and I'm happy that I took some. So any of y'all want to spank me, let me just, almighty. All right, I'm just kidding. So instead of doing readings today, I will take this opportunity to share another one of my giftings with you all, which is teaching. And I have been a teacher in my heart and soul since I could play teacher with my dolls. I can remember being so inspired when I read Catcher in the Rye because of Holden Caulfield's teacher that inspired him to go on his journey. I love that teacher that can inspire you to go on your journey. So I want you to get a pen and paper. We're going to do some really, really powerful work here together today. But I want to tell you guys my story. First of all, I know a lot of you know my story, my background. I started out small town, Midwest Hollywood. Midwest girl, then I moved to Hollywood. See, I repeated a lot, so you know this part of my story. I want to tell you the young intuitive, but still growing and maturing. But I want to share more about what that specifically looked like. When I first started, I was really self-taught. If you guys are self-taught out there, say amen. Nothing wrong with being self-taught to a certain point. It's very cool when you can be a sponge and you can dive in. However, what I lacked was being able to witness myself and my growing skills through the eyes of a mentor or a community. And this is a really, really powerful thing. For those of you who are working on releasing self-doubt and stepping into the belief in what you're doing anymore, I'm going to ask, have you dove into a class where you can't hide it? Let me tell you, when the first time I walked into a class where I was like, I'm done self-studying, I'm diving in with a mentor. When you walk into the class, there ain't no hiding. You're all there for the same damn reason. You're saying, I'm psychic, I want to be more psychic, let's figure this out. You can't hide it anymore. And there's a natural bond of feeling like, oh man, I'm in this, I'm in a learning and a growth process with other people. It does not matter at what level they're at. I've learned with a lot of different levels of people. I can tell you also, when I go to learn, when I love learning, I love working. When I was an actress, I loved diving into acting classes. I had some friends that were like, I don't need acting classes. I loved it. Loved that opportunity to stay sharp. I also truly wanted to be the worst person in the class. I wanted everyone in the class to be better than me, to be sharper than me, to be smarter than me, to be quicker than with their wit than me, to be able to go deeper than me into the character, because that's what pulls me up. So don't be afraid to dive into, if you're beginning, to dive into an intuitive class. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, okay? So in the beginning, I was very self-taught. Cool things about it, I missed out the opportunity to witness myself and my growth through the eyes of a collective community who was also in the intention and frequency of learning and growing. Okay? I also, my intuition was decent. But I was still experiencing a lot of moments where when it really aligns for you and you have that synchronicity and you see it, you're like, oh my God, I have to call my friend, my one other spiritual friend, and tell her about this crazy synchronicity that happened, and you can hardly believe it. Truly, when you begin to exist in higher levels of consciousness and you can hold presence in your awareness for extended periods of time, you'll begin to see one synchronicity after another unfolding in your life. And you got to be able to hold that energy, because you got to be present to your life. You can't be calling your friend, Miss Nancy, Miss Nancy, you never guess what happened to me today. So in the beginning, I was pretty good at my intuition, but I was still in awe every time it happened. I needed to learn to string together enough of those synchronicities that I could hold a life that looks like this strung together. That's truly what 5D is, you guys. We have 10 shares out there yet. I want to tell you guys how I feel. Uncle Frank is here. I want to tell you guys how I feel my back out. Also, in the beginning of my own intuitive process, my own intuitive growth, I had a lot of self-doubt. It felt weird of what my family, this is perfect, Uncle Frank is here, because my Uncle Frank is a powerful man of God. He goes to church, he follows the doctrine, he is a Christian man. I grew up very, very Christian, and what I do now is it's woo-woo. It pushes the limits sometimes, right? How many of you guys can relate? How many of you have cared about what your family is going to think of you if you start talking all of this woo-woo? It's beautiful, because the more we talk about it, the more we find the congruent truths that really underline any philosophy, whether you're going to call it a religion or a tradition or what it is. If you're truly seeking God or source energy, you are going to find the space of truth, connection, and alignment. And I believe that many of us who have families who are very, very traditional in their beliefs, we have this beautiful opportunity to find common ground, to find common truth. And I've enjoyed my process. I'll say that. When it could be very sticky. That was a mindset that I needed to shift. I'll be honest with you. How many of you guys experience self-doubt? Maybe you don't feel like your messages are super profound. You don't feel confident enough in sharing them. Or maybe you're worried about how you're going to look or how it's going to be received if you do share. If that is you, please say yes now. Get real. Get honest with yourself. Olivia says, yeah, that's why I can't share yet. Yes. I'll tell you one thing that really, really helped me in this area, because it's a mindset shift. It's a belief shift that we have to take on. Spend 20 years in Hollywood. At some point, you've got to give up the rigorous self-judgment, or you will collapse in that space. And because I showed up, not every single day did I have an audition for 20 years, but there were days when I had 3 auditions a day. I was changing my clothes in my car and driving along. You got to give it up at a certain point. One of the easiest ways to upgrade yourself, hang out with other people that are doing how you need to step up. When you identify someone who is good in an area where you want to upgrade, go mentor with that person. Go hang out in that community. Go hang out with those kind of people. Truly releasing what people think about you. This is a tough one. One of the reasons Master Intelligence is so amazing, the Akashic Records are so amazing, because they're recorded from 7th dimension space-time, a soul-level perspective, universal love, unconditional love, zero judgment. You can witness yourself through that space. As we are witnessing ourselves and witnessing our life, we're in a very 3D lower consciousness space where we have a lot of triggers still. When you can learn to tune into the Akashic Records, because truly the Akashic field is all around us. We're constantly tuning in to the Akashic field. The records are when we intend to go in a soul level consciousness and we're willing to view ourselves from non-judgment and unconditional love. And that requires a certain level of consciousness, a certain level of elevation in your own process, in your own journey, in your own commitment to yourself, okay? I'm going to share with you guys some of the major problems that the students that I work with and the clients that I work with experience. Again, so you recognize that you are not alone in this process. All right? One of the hugest things is lack of self-belief, lack of confidence. Okay? Like I said, hang out with other people who are getting that one down. You will get there. I promise you that. A lot of people that come to me because they have lack of clarity, specifically about their future. Chronic health issues. A lot of times our emotions are chronic health issues. Depression, something that becomes chronic. But also chronic physical issues. Truthfully, everything comes back to that area where you've taken on emotional density, right? But people with chronic health issues come to me to find what's going on. If you have a chronic issue, it is stuck karma. Karma is an unlearned lesson. There is something that you need to learn so that you can move on. People with traumatic emotional pasts who need to work through healing. People who feel scared and unsupported in their life. I work with a lot of victim mentality, which really comes down to fear of standing in our truth and being able to stand and command and own our truth in a really profound, calm way. A lot of people lack financial resources that come to me. That lack energy, that lack of value in themselves and our intuitive skills are advancing rapidly. If you have intuitive skills and you're not valuing them and allowing them to grow in your life, then I wouldn't be surprised if you have lack somewhere in your life, including in your finances. All right? The benefits to hanging out and working in this space of infinite intelligence are absolutely, well, of course you get all kinds of crazy 5D shit once you start getting in here clear, right? You get invigorated. You have a desire for like these intangible kind of things. I call them 5D things because they're more of an essence. They're more of a vibration. You get a sense of worthiness, a sense of understanding your sense of purpose here on the planet. You move into ease and flow more dynamically. That's where we do all of the commanding and shifting of our timelines. We've got to be in that state of ease and flow. We stop creating karma. This is a huge one. Like I said, this is all intangible kind of stuff. I know I've got a great woo-woo audience here, and I know that you guys like the intangible stuff, but what are the tangible benefits of this? Vibrant health, emotional well-being, clear sense of direction. You understand your focus. You understand your unique giftings here on the planet. What you focus on becomes bigger. We know this. When you learn to function in these higher vibrational frequencies, your focus becomes laser because you know who you are, you know why you're here, you know what you want to do. Your why becomes so big that your how becomes easy. I think that's a Tony Robbins phrase. When the why is big enough, the how is easy. That's why manifesting becomes so much easier as you go through the process of mastering yourself and mastering your life. All right, let me ask you guys this. Does this come up like regular or is this backwards when I put it up? Somebody's got to tell me. This is how the Akashic Records has totally helped me. These are the 5 steps that I've come to recognize. I'm going to see if it's backwards. Oh, yay! It's right side up. Because you guys know what I did for you? Just in case it came out backwards on here, look, I wrote it that way on the back. but it's really hard to read. And because my back hurts and I had to put it up against the window and like trace it around the backwards, the lactic acid is building up in my arms and my little arms are shaking and my back is hurting and I'll bend over. I didn't even have to do it. There you go. All right. Step 1, receiving your vision. That's what we're going to do here today. And we're going to kick this into high motion because you guys have been really great for a lot of listening and teaching today. So I want to be sure to leave our space for Robin McClendon, who's coming up next. She's awesome. Okay. All right. This is the 5 steps that I teach, that I work with people to create life mastery. I'm going to give you step 1 today, receiving your vision. Tomorrow is Lionsgate. This is a huge part to really stepping into your life mastery, whatever is important for you to master in your life. But you've got to receive your vision first. I'm going to help you guys receive that vision today. All right. The second step is building your foundation. It's learning the basics on how you access infinite intelligence. How do we do that? That's what I teach people how to do. The third step we go through is once we know the basics, we go through deprogramming. Who doesn't need a little deprogramming? And self-love reprogramming. Pretty easy process once you get it down. Step 4, once you love yourself, I want to help you start developing your own unique identity. And step 5 is commanding your future. This is what life mastery looks like, and the Akashic Records can help you guys do that. I want you guys to take some notes today where I'm going to move you into a meditational space, and we're going to work with the biggest area that you want to transform in your life right now. And I want you to call it out. It is Lionsgate tomorrow. We are stepping into our power. Where do you want to transform? Where do you want to see shift and change happen in your life? And you are not willing to settle for anything holding you back anymore. And I want to see that stuff coming in the comments right now. All right, type it in, type it in, type it in. And then we're going to move into our meditative space. Seriously, get pen and paper. You're going to want to write down the answers to these things. This is all for the purpose of helping you move from the etheric realm into more clarity, into the 3D. Everyone has the ability to access the Akashic Records. It is inherently within you. We're not going to go the super long way today, but we're going to do a quick connection. Take a nice deep breath in. Call power to you. Call love, light, compassion, courage to see yourself in the truth as you are. Exhaling. I want you to ground yourself into Mother Earth. So see that crystalline tube of light that runs up and down the spine. Anchor it all the way down into the core of Mother Earth so that you can get the breath going. Feel the energy moving through that crystalline tube as you get the breath moving, the awareness moving, clearing out the vessel, connecting with Mother Earth, empowering yourself. Good. Focusing again on the crystalline tube, sending it up through the layers of space and time, beyond our universe, exiting our multiverse, anchoring into the space of the ether, the all that is. This gives you access to your soul essence as well as expanded consciousness, the energy of infinite consciousness, which is awareness and expansion. So all that has to do with you and your vibration flowing down that crystalline tube now, moving through your body, moving all the way down, anchoring into the core of Mother Earth. I want you to just take a moment and set the intention again to release your ego. That means any way that you identify yourself as separate from Source, you got to be able to see yourself as God sees you. Be willing to see yourself in that light. So just setting that intention, going in with the purpose of love, expansion, examination. Sound is also important. In addition to supporting our frequency with this kind of crystalline tube meditation, creating a sound vibrational frequency with the intention to connect with this higher level of consciousness space where you have access to your master intelligence. We want to create a sound. So I always use Om, so Om with me. Now all you got to do is play. You're all going to experience it somewhat differently. There's no right or wrong. The more you interact, the more you dance, the more you play, the more you're going to get out of this. And what I mean by that is just Allow yourself to be open and receive knowledge, insight, words, colors, pictures, whatever comes in. You just got to be willing to receive and play with the energy. So that transformational aspect of your life, that thing, that area where you are not taking no for an answer anymore. I want you to hold that. Create energy, create it as a ball of energy, uphold it here in this space, illuminate it with light. You don't have to keep holding your hands up there. You can let your hands down because I want you guys to write, okay? And I want you to allow the clarity to come in right now. I want you to ask yourself this question. These are questions that my coaches have been asking me that have helped me become very, very clear. I'm excited to practice asking these in the Akashic Records because they will begin making the transformation that you're seeking so clear to you. And when you figure out what it is that you need, you're going to figure out how to do it, okay? What is the value that you place on the transformation that you're seeking? I don't want you to share that writing it in. I want you to spend your time writing that down on your notes, okay? This transformation that you're seeking, what's the value that you've placed on that? What does this mean to your family? What does this mean to your business? What does this mean to your relationships? I want you guys to allow yourself to receive that. Take inventory. Your life is valuable because you decide where you place value. So how valuable is this transformation that you're seeking? Take a moment and quickly go through each area. How will this transformation, when you embody it, how does that affect your finances? How does that affect your relationships? How does it affect your spiritual growth? How does it affect your career shifts, how you're showing up in life? Start to get really clear about what this means to you. Good, I can feel the vibration. I can feel the vibration of you guys building. Okay, take a nice deep breath in and release that. Here's the next question that I want you to ask yourself. Tune in, rate yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, you are where you're at with this transformation, okay? In terms of living your ideal life, where are you right now on your scale of 1 to 10? In terms of mastering your life, you are living it, you are loving it, you are jiving with it. Where are you? Be honest with yourself. Let's see your numbers when they come in, by the way. I'd love to see the numbers coming in. Linda says, I hear limitless. When my coach asked me this question, I rated myself pretty damn high. I think I rated myself an 8 or so. I'm doing pretty good. Always room to grow, right? He was like, oh, wow, most people rate themselves like 4 or 5. Nancy's a high rater too, 7.5. Cool. Truly, it doesn't really matter what your number is. Here's what's more important is the next piece that we're going to fill in. Your number, where you're at now, truly reflects probably some of where you're at with your own self-embodiment and being confident in your mission and your goals here on the planet. I've been at lower levels before. I do tend to overrate myself, usually. I tend to overrate my skills and my abilities. Katrina says a 10. I love it. Nice. Thank you for holding that space. Josh, thank you for being honest and saying a 5. So Josh, for you with a 5, let me ask you, what would it feel like to go from a 5 to an 8? Miss Nancy, I see you said 7.5. Miss Nancy, what would it look like to go from a 7.5 to a 9? Most of us like, ooh. Josh, if you're going to go from a 5 to an 8, what would it look like to go from an 8 to a 9.5? I like that question. Begins to help me generate that effervescent energy that allows me to bubble up, get big. I love it. I felt that when my coach asked me that question. Then he asked me this one. This one I didn't love so much. Because it took me a second, truthfully. What's it going to take to fill that gap for you? For you to go from where you are now. Jake says a 9, I love it. Linda says 5, still got growth. For you to go from where you are now, bump it up to 7, 8, 9, depending on where you're at. What's the gap that needs to be filled? For a lot of us, the intangible part of it has to do with these steps right here. The tangible part of that gap that has to be filled, that's what I want you to answer right now. What is it that you need to do? How is it that you need to show up and commit in your life? Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. So for those of you who are ready to get dynamically big, this is the vision. This is how you receive your vision. You find that area where you want to transform. Get honest about how valuable it is. Stop shoving it aside. This is what truly receiving your vision is. It is you co-participating, co-creating. I know sometimes, we say very practical days. I like to go very woo-woo. I like to go on those shamanic journeys. Oh, receive your vision. We're going to be doing some of that tomorrow inside the Akashic Academy membership program. We are doing an hour-and-a-half workshop, intuitive development, from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. for members. This is going to be a very, very powerful process where we're going to get super darn woo-woo. With the practical embodiment of where we need to get, that practicality has to be balanced with our woo-woo. And this is truly what receiving your vision is about getting clear and about understanding the value and being willing to witness and own that value. And moving up into this higher space, when we begin to ask ourselves, what does this mean to my family? What does it mean to my business? What does it mean to my future? What do I need to do to get there? For those of you who got a tremendous amount out of this exercise, for those of you guys who wrote down and began to receive and implant your vision, began to place value on this, the only thing stopping you from stepping into your vision is this area where you are holding yourself back from transforming. It's what Lionsgate is all about. This is the hard knock stuff that we've got to do to start getting clear about what our vision is. Okay? For those of you who have gotten a lot out of this, who have realized, yes, I have work to do in the area of mastering my life, of stepping into this bigger space. I want to master my life. There's more work that we can do on receiving your vision. This is just the beginning steps of how we can dive in more deeply. For those of you who are ready to say, there is nothing standing in my way, I want you to reach out to me via private message. I'm opening time in my schedule this week and next week for the next 2 weeks to work one-on-one with those of you who are ready to dive in and remove the blocks and get them out of your way. This is not a charged session, but this is for students who are interested in diving in and going deeper into mastering their own journey. And not everybody's going to be right for this. So just because you reach out to me does not necessarily mean that you are a right fit for this, but I look forward to connecting with each one of you. Depending on your level of readiness, your level of commitment to diving in and making a shift and change, because here's why. I'm making powerful shifts and changes right now. My students are making powerful shifts and changes. For those of you who are not ready to get out of your way for any reason, if there are excuses that are still in your way, I'm protecting the energy of those who are growing and getting all excuses out of their way. And you're not ready yet. And that doesn't mean that you're not ready for another level of diving in and plugging in. And that's okay. There are certain aspects of my own journey that I'm not ready for yet either. But I can help you figure out where you fit in. And for those of you who are ready, there is a dynamic opportunity to dive in and to experience life mastery like never before. I love each and every one of you so much. Thank you for allowing me to share this time with you before Lionsgate. I'm very much looking forward to the energies tomorrow. So much shifting and changing my personal life. I've run way over. I so apologize, Robin McClendon. Jump right over to Conversations with Gaia. Robin is going to be our very first guest trainer as things shift inside of our Akashic Academy membership program. I love her very much, and I'm done stepping on her toes now.